come on in. I'm Dave. This is my wife,
Tina.
and we're with Bible First 5-Minute Bible Study. Okay, today we are in Luke 8, verse 40. So it was when Jesus returned that the multitude welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue. And he fell down at Jesus' feet and begged him to come to his house. In 42, for he had an only daughter about 12 years of age, and she was dying. But as he went, the multitudes thronged him. Now a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who had spent all her livelihood on physicians and could not be healed by any, in 44, came from behind and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" Now I love this passage.
I love it too.
I had an open wound for about 12 months in my leg. And lymphatic fluid came out of it.
Right. You had to have towels all over the floor.
And how much was coming out?
Like a liter, you would say.
A liter a day. I measured it because I weighed a dry towel. I put it under me for about 2 hours, weighed it again, and then projected it over a 24-hour day. And it was about a liter of fluid. I'd go to a doctor's office, and there'd be a puddle there. And it was slimy and gross. And so I have a small... Here's a woman that bled, right? Do you remember how many years? It said
12?
12 years.
12 years.
So I might have dealt with it 12 months. She dealt with this kind of thing for 12 years. Now remember, in Jewish society, when you're on your period, you're unclean. You can't go to temple. You can't go and sacrifice. Your husband...
Don't you have like a little stool you're supposed
Right, you had a stool you had to sit on. Your husband could not touch you, otherwise he became unclean and would have to go through a bunch of rigmarole, right? So this was a woman that was ostracized. And she was just like, all I got to do is touch the hem of his garment.
That's how much faith she had. She knew she didn't have to touch his hand. She didn't have to touch his arm. All she had to do was touch the hem of his garment.
Right. So now in 45, and Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter and those with him said, "Master, the multitudes throng and press you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" In 46, but Jesus said, "Somebody touched me, for I perceive power going out from me." Now when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared to him in the presence of all the people the reason she had touched him and how she was healed immediately. In 48, and he said to her, "Daughter, be of good cheer. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace." When he was still speaking, someone came from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying to him, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher." In 50, but when Jesus heard it, he answered him, saying, "Do not be afraid. Only believe, and she will be made well." When he came into the house, he permitted no one to go in except Peter, James, and John, and the father and mother of the girl. Now all wept and mourned for her, but he said, "Do not weep, she is not dead, but sleeping." And they ridiculed him, knowing that she was dead. In verse 54, but he put them all outside, took her by the hand and called, saying, "Little girl, arise." Then her spirit returned, and she arose immediately, and he commanded that she be given something to eat. It was probably tough, but more likely he was showing them that she was not a ghost.
Wow.
Right? Give her some food. And her parents were astonished, but he charged them to tell no one what had happened. It's unfathomable to think about what these parents felt when their little 12-year-old girl, who was probably the light of her father's eye.
Right. They've had a 12-year-old girl at one time. She's older than that now, but...
But you can just feel the angst.
Right.
And Jesus was like, don't tell nobody.
Right.
Right. He's not wanting people to get all nuts over him yet. He's building momentum in his ministry. It's going to have a crescendo at the cross. But right now, he's building it, and he is watering it and growing that ministry.
Right.
So, what are your plans for today, sweetie?
I don't know. Probably should vacuum some and maybe go outside before it gets too hot.
Oh, yeah, I spent a little bit of time this morning drinking some coffee, reading the first edition of King Kong. And I'll tell you this, we were watching the original 1930s King Kong. I think it was 1930s. And the book, the first, chapter in it is almost word for word the movie. And
right.
You don't see that often. Normally, Hollywood's got to change it,
Right.
But in this one, when they made that original movie, at least at the beginning, they're pretty much exactly the same scene.
Right.
So I think that was kind of cool. Hey, Tina, would you say our prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this time together. I thank you for David. I thank you for everyone that listens to our podcast. I pray we would all draw closer to you and learn more about your word. And I just thank you for all of this. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks for coming again today. We'll see you tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And we just ask that you have a blessed day. And we love you. God bless and bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.